Welcome, everybody, to another Signature Sip podcast. We have my really good friends and agents at Signature Realty here, Kelly and Carl, a.k.a. Carelli, their company name, and they are an awesome couple, team and family partnership, life and business. So today we are going to bring them onto the podcast to give you guys some really good tips and tricks on how to be successful as a partnership and also some tricks in the real estate business. So excited to have you guys on. Say hello.
Hello. We're excited to be here. Thank you for inviting us, and we're going to have some fun.
Yeah, Carl's always the best dressed everywhere we go. So
No, I appreciate it.
awesome.
Got a lot of competition out there with other best dressed realtors. So,
So why don't you guys tell us like the makeup of your family and like what's going on, and then how long you've been doing it, and then we'll get into some of the questions.
awesome. I'll kick it off. So right now, as you mentioned, we're a husband and wife couple, and we're also in real estate together. We currently are both licensed as real estate professionals. We love the business. It's tricky. We also have two toddlers that just recently turned 4 and 5. So we have our coronial babies that are always tugging at us for attention.
Just like
and
me.
Yeah, exactly.
Our Corona babies.
So they're always tugging at us for attention. And another really big part of our dynamic is I'm also in the military. I'm a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army.
Thank you for your service.
No, I appreciate that. My pleasure. Thank you for your support. But being in the Army, we are also a military family. Although I'm in the National Guard and it's more of a reserve kind of schedule, there's often times when Kelly is home alone with the kids, the business, our professional partners and teammates that are tugging at her for information about our transactions, and she's a rock star. She handles it well and all by herself. So sometimes I'm in the middle of the woods trying to use Starlink so I can help her, take a call on WhatsApp or something, but it's hard.
Yeah,
But
I
we make it happen.
remember you talking when we were at NJRSN, and you mentioned to me, we're at a correction facility right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We were on a recent mission that started out of nowhere. It was my first activation in the New York National Guard. And we were having breakfast with the kids, about to take them to school. And I got a phone call that we were about to get activated in the New York National Guard. And it felt like a joke because it was like my first activation. Normally we do, big bad snowstorms and things of that nature, but it's always been voluntary.
Right.
So when I told Kelly, I'm like, I'm gotta go in the morning. I don't know when I'm coming home. It was like kind of scary.
And I'm looking at a full schedule ahead and saying, well, so I guess I have to handle all of this like by myself, and okay, now what? You know what I mean? And it's the kids' schedule, the real estate schedule, the phone calls, the incoming things. But I do have to say is adding on the support this year was everything. And initially when we added the support on to that, to support that, like there was things happening that I was so grateful for, because we spent the first half of the year really putting those things in, and then or even first quarter, and then to watch him go, and I was like, okay, all right, this is okay. Like, you know what I mean? It got better from the last time, like just even a regular training or months of training that he's done, so.
Right, but it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah,
100%.
it really is. It really is.
So how long were you on that mission?
I was gone for almost 4 weeks, right?
Almost 4 weeks.
Almost 4
but
weeks.
in the past, on other times while we've been doing real estate together, he took, when my son was born, he was 4 months away down in Georgia, getting trained to be an officer, because Carl didn't want to just join. He wanted to be an officer also and do all the other things that come because, of the ranking and the education that he has. He's like, I want this. And I was
It was gonna be hard for me to be at a position where I wasn't able to lead, use my experience and expertise. So it took
gives
about
you more
5 years of
control.
training in the Army before I even got to a place where I'm settled in now, like I am now. But it took about a good 4 or 5 years, and it involved a lot of alone time for her. We did this through COVID. It was, an interesting dynamic up until now.
Yeah, I mean, everything, with the two toddlers, both
Yeah.
being in the business. So how is that for you guys? Because I know Michelle and I, when we're, it's funny, we have like this insider joke. Or like sometimes we're like, hey, if we weren't both in real estate, like, what would we talk about?
That's a good one.
So
That's a
I
good
wonder
one.
how you guys feel about that, because
That's
being
a good
it's so awesome, like having a partner, but in real estate, it's also very hard.
Yeah.
Right. So why don't you tell me, how do you guys feel about it?
Well, I can say that sometimes I feel that way too, because it's like, a lot of our conversation evolves around what's next, what's going on, did you do this, what's, done, and did you see that email come in, did you see that text? And because we do the same business and work on the clients together, but yet we have our own roles, it is very hard to turn off. And then when he's sharing something with me at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, I'm done. And I'm like, I just want
Got a
my
new
hour
idea.
of TV.
We've had that conversation like 100 times. So it's very normal to have that.
Right.
But it's also a beautiful thing, like to have somebody be able to help you and understand.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything
Your phone's
in your
going
business.
off at different times. The who's texting and who's calling different times, because there are no boundaries in real estate. People text you and call you when they think of it, or if they have different jobs and they're working with you, nurses that work at nighttime. This one works overnight. It's just at all times. And sometimes you have to literally turn your phone over and just not look at it for a moment, or do things, and just unplug for a minute.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you guys both start together? And tell us when you started and kind of how it evolved into where it is now.
That's a
loaded question.
It's loaded, but it's also, to me, I think it's a really big part and beautiful part of our story. I think for me, it kind of goes all the way back to high school when I wanted to get into real estate, or at least I thought I wanted to get into real estate. Didn't really know much about it. And back in the 90s, one of the things that I noticed a lot from the people I was just kind of picking their brain about real estate, seeing, people investing in real estate, I always remember hearing from people, if you want to be a real estate investor, you don't want to get your real estate license, because then you'll be susceptible to the regs, the rules, the ethics. And I was like, okay, I guess that means just in case I want to play a little dirty as an investor, I want to make sure I'm not going to get in trouble with a license.
That's exactly what that means.
And that's exactly
it's
what
only the shady people that say that.
That's what I had to. That's why I have my license now, because I finally down the road realized that. But fast forward years later, I guess some of our first experiences were as unlicensed individuals. My dad's house was short sold when I was in college, so that was an interesting experience. Wasn't fun. And then I think Kelly, she purchased a 2-family, prior to getting licensed. I also purchased a mixed-use property and did that with a partner. And within that purchase was a beauty salon. So not only was I running a mental health business with my former business partner during that time, I also had to help my business partner that wanted to purchase this mixed-use property run a hair salon. And I'm like, all right.
Doing so many things.
So it was just a serious entrepreneur journey. Then fast forward past that, what led me to say I want to get my real estate license was the dismantling of my relationship with my ex-business partner. I left the company. We had some disagreements, disputes, and things of that nature. And then I said, you know what? I want to get my real estate license. But Kelly and I being together in a relationship.
This was in 2018, so this was not back. Too long ago, but it's,
Right.
During that time.
It's 8 years ago now.
Yeah. So it was a while. Right. It was a while. And during that time, we had to put a plan together. I feel like COVID makes everything
feel like it's, right?
Yeah.
If you went through COVID, you feel like that's 10 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. During that time, we had to put a plan together because I was leaving and walking away from my main source of income. And I was like, all right, what are we going to do? So I said, all right, let's start with the VA loan. Let's go buy some real estate. I talking to her about family members and, just trying to put a plan together. I said, you know what? I'm in good shape. I'm going to go join the Army. I'm going to go get my own VA status.
That's why he joined the Army initially, was to use the VA loan.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to ask anybody to help us with it. When we realized the terms of a VA loan, I was like, you can't just ask someone to do this. Like,
got to be a spouse or something. We did the research and figured that out. And I'm like, we don't want to rent anymore. We want to buy real estate, see what we can, So while I was going through the process of leaving the business, the mental health business, I got my real estate license. I met with a recruiter. I went through the process of getting my real estate license, joining the military, and before I left, Kelly should probably tell you more about this story, but because of her sphere of influence, they say teachers and nurses make some of the best realtors, and that is true. The first 5 clients I sold real estate with was friends and family from her teaching background.
I was like, hey, you wanna, you need help in real estate? Well, my boyfriend's getting his license, and they trusted me enough in teaching that's kind of how it segued.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we were on a team at Keller Williams, so that's kind of how we started.
Yep.
Nice.
I made $20,000, and then I went to basic training. I left her the money. I said, all right, because no phones. So and I said, while I'm gone, get your real estate license. So when I come back, we could do this together. And she did.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And I only wanted to sell one house a season because I'm a full-time teacher at the time. So I'm like, one house a season, no more babysitting, no more tutoring on the side, and then we sold a lot of houses.
Yeah, so let's fast forward now.
Yeah.
You guys have done flipping. You decide to say, I'm going to stick to just the realtor business.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that and kind of what are your goals moving forward, and also some tips and tricks for other people to manage their relationship and also, improving the business.
Just thinking about where we're at today, I think one of the things that we kind of were talking about offline before we started was I was all over the place, 100%.
You were doing a bunch of different
I was
things.
doing everything.
You were doing people's highlights.
I was doing haircuts. I was doing everything, right?
If he could do it, he would do it and be great at it. Like, that's just how Carl is.
Yeah. But for us, she's always been my biggest cheerleader. Like, hey, listen, if you're going to do the research, you're going to learn something. All right, I'll watch you do it. I'll even help you. But it got to a point where it's like, we're not going to be able to sustain, have a family, and this, that, and third if I'm going in 50 different directions. So,
right.
So
what were your main things that you were doing?
What I wanted to do, I thought I wanted to be a flipper, a builder, a developer, an investor.
And a realtor.
But I thought in the beginning that my real estate license was just going to be the icing on the cake, an extra check at the table, save some money on deals when I buy things.
Got it. So the primary reason was like me, get your license to do investing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And then at what point do you feel like you recognize the value in, wait a second, I can make a lot of money on commission checks and focusing on the realtor business? When do you think that was?
When the first one came in, like watching it go in and getting it and seeing that, for me, like watching my teacher salary get put in my bank account in 2 months, you know what I mean? Like, and that's take home salary, like that was just everything. And just watching it, because I was fearful of leaving teaching to do this full time. Like most people, like we always advise, like don't jump right in. I know, you have to do it full time to do it, but you also have to know that if you're living on your own, you're not living at home, like you have bills to pay. You have
100%
to have
commission.
You have to have a plan, So doing that. So he went full time. I was still teaching at the time, and during the pandemic, I was able to teach online. Had the 2 coronials, and then from there, it just kind of segued into like, okay, wow, like we're getting the momentum going, or we're doing another avenue, and then just segueing it to full time, Yeah,
and I think for me, managing flips, dealing with contractors, even though we had the knowledge, we went through the training programs and learned a lot so that we didn't make a lot of mistakes. We accelerated the learning curve in that aspect. I didn't put the same energy and effort into accelerating the learning curve of being a great real estate agent. So I really couldn't sit here and say that I could make more money flipping or being a realtor. I knew I was great at presenting. I knew I was good at pitching. That was something I had to realize was a natural skill for me, but I wanted to be great at it.
But now that he feels, and he is really good at it, he like the trajectory of the just practice and training and watching us work with new people, like not just our sphere of influence, has just changed trajectory this year. And I always say, like, every time we go to one of your events here at Signature, like there's something that changes for us, whether it was like,
I'm a perfectionist. I'm a train freak. Not a train freak. I'm a training freak. I like to train. And I don't know if it's from the military or from my cycling background and, competitive sports, but I like to train so I can enhance the muscle that I'm trying to train. And if it's my brain, then that's what it is. For me, on the real estate side, I train, I flipped houses. I train. Now I'm prospecting. I'm talking to FSBOs, talking to expireds. And for me, I can't do those things because I immerse myself in training. I get obsessed with training, researching scripts, and I'm practicing it.
You're asking a lot of questions.
I'm going nuts. Right. So for me, our business would stop if I went to run off and go train. I'm like that guy that goes off to a retreat and turns off his phone, and I want to learn everything I need to know so I can come back. I had to also learn to balance that a little bit better and start training and using and executing simultaneously. And that was something I had to learn from, coaches and different things. But even, through going to NJ Resin trainings and events, NJRE SEN trainings, I watch you build up the trainings. I watch you teach people in phases. So it's not overwhelming. In the Army, we have a saying called fire hose training. And it's tough to be trained through the method of a fire hose. You know, it's overwhelming. So
Well, that's why you have to have.
I
like,
learned
the
a lot of
concierge
how
and
to
all that. Yeah,
micro
100%.
train, if you will,
Like-
so that I can take the same concept of how you teach and how you've trained signature agents on our websites and through NJRESN. And I'm like, okay, now I can make money and learn and earn. It's, you know, what we're talking about here. Doing this with a partner and going even deeper, your spouse. But for me, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a train freak. Not a train freak. I'm a training freak. I like to train. And I don't know if it's from the military or from my cycling background and, you know, competitive sports, but I like to train so I can enhance the muscle that I'm trying to train. And if it's my brain, then that's what it is. For me, on the real estate side, I train, I flipped houses. I train. Now I'm prospecting. I'm talking to FSBOs, talking to expireds. And for me, I can't do those things because I immerse myself in training. I get obsessed with training, researching scripts, and I'm practicing it.
You're asking a lot of questions.
I'm going nuts. Right. So for me, our business would stop if I went to run off and go train. I'm like that guy that goes off to a retreat and turns off his phone, and I want to learn everything I need to know so I can come back. I had to also learn to balance that a little bit better and start training and using and executing simultaneously. And that was something I had to learn from, you know, coaches and different things. But even, you know, through going to NJ Resin trainings and events, NJRESN trainings, I watch you build up the trainings. I watch you teach people in phases. So it's not overwhelming. In the Army, we have a saying called fire hose training. And it's tough to be trained through the method of a fire hose. You know, it's overwhelming. So I learned a lot of how to micro train, if you will, so that I can take the same concept of how you teach and how you've trained signature agents on our websites and through NJRESN. And I'm like, okay, now I can make money and learn and earn.
Right. That's awesome.
But I couldn't do that without her because she's keeping our transactions going.
So what's been the hardest part about working together, and what's the best part about it?
Best part is definitely that we understand each other's business very well, and that we have full access to make sure we can, you know, cover tasks. And what I don't like doing, he does. And what he doesn't like doing, I do. And it balances. Like, he doesn't.
You complement each other.
Yeah. And it works. And it's not like we're fighting over those tasks. Like, I stay in my lane, he stays in his lane, but all for the same goal and the same pot at the end. You know, working for the same household, the same team.
Right. All the money's coming into the house.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So what's the hardest part?
I think for me, one of the hardest parts was, remember, I came from an entrepreneurial background. I was a business owner since I was 19. And, you know, I only ate what I killed. So coming into this, it was like, okay, the positive was I had the entrepreneurial mindset coming into getting my real estate license and being a realtor versus someone that left a job.
Right.
And, you know,
had the steady check.
Had the stomach losing that steady check.
Right.
So for her, it was helping her make that transition. Yeah, helping her make that transition of realizing, you know, the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur and how we're gonna incorporate that into our real estate business as realtors. Once we stop the flipping and everything else, we're like, this is still a business. We have to function and operate as a business. So teaching her that and helping her realize how great she was, that was like step one. Because I'm like, you know, she was running young entrepreneur programs at her school and getting no credit for it.
Being a great teacher to like being scared to go in the basement and look at utilities, you know what I mean? Like not wanting to go down with bars. I'm like, you go down there. Like that's your avenue. Like you go down there. 'Cause I don't know if it's, you know, what is it? Forced hot air and this one and that one. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at. You know, like I don't like being not good at something.
It's true though. It's true.
It is. And then now, like I
you get intimidated.
I walk a house, like, cause like I know inspections inside and out. And like I walk a house, I could tell them every item nearly that's going to be called out in an inspection. So we go through it during sellers and we're like, listen, let that get called out. We'll see what happens. But essentially back to your question is what is the hardest part is that we do things differently sometimes. Like, so I like a good old whiteboard. Like I like to write on it. My teacher days, he wants everything in the calendar. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But like, it's too many alerts going off on my phone at all times. And I'm like, I don't know what's for today. What's
He's
for
a
tomorrow.
systems guy.
He is. And I appreciate that because when something does happen, I'm like, oh shoot, that lead came in. Did you see that? Yeah, everyone's already been talking to it or whatever. I'm like,
he's
wow,
like, I got 100 email drip campaign going out. Don't worry.
So I go, all right, no problem. I said, I'm going to stay out of that part. I said, but I manage the other things. But also too, like sometimes like I'll get frustrated where he wants me to do something a certain way. And I'm like, but it's just easier, just do it this way. And then like, I'm like,
he's like, you're not
God,
following the checklist.
and I'm like, oh goodness, it's about to go down. I said, and then like, I'm going to go eat something.
I've gotten to a point where now I could just walk away.
Yeah.
And say, you know what?
Because he knows sometimes we just do things differently.
I'm going to call our VA RJ and let him know, hey, listen, when Kelly does it her way, please copy and paste it into my way. Yeah. And now we're all happy. Now we're all happy. Yeah.
And I'm like, does he do that? Can we train him to do that? Okay, great. Like, let's do that. Yeah. But
figured it out.
Yeah. And one of the things that really helped us this year was really just talking to people, sharing our challenges, and really being open to like
getting feedback, getting mentorship.
Like what could we do differently that's not working, and that's helped.
No, I remember having a lot of conversations in regards to, what should we 100% focus on?
Yeah.
Should we only do this? And, I do both, right? I'm the broker. We do deal. I mean, I was doing an open house this Sunday.
Right.
Because Michelle couldn't do it. She's like, can you do it?
Right.
And we have a daughter.
Right.
What did you call them? Coronials?
My two coronials are going off to school.
Explain why you say that, because I don't think everybody gets that.
Because we had them during the coronavirus time.
And Me too, 2020.
And this is the generation, like this is the year they're going to kindergarten. So they're making all these Facebook memes about it. I'm just happy we're done with daycare payments. That's what I'm happy about. So, you know, it's good stuff.
So I remember you coming and talking a lot about the different flipping and the different strategy and business models. You guys, what I love about you guys and why I think you're awesome and people can learn from you is you're always looking to improve, right? You're always just trying to get better and better and better and say, okay, it's not that I've been doing it like this whole time and I have to keep doing it because that's what I'm used to. It's like, well, what's the best way to do it, right? And that's awesome because I do a lot of different things and every personality is a little bit different, right? And focusing in on one thing and mastering that, then you go adding more things to it. If it's not, if you're not hitting all your goals with that one thing, right? A lot of people ask me, why don't you flip outside of New Jersey? I'm like, because I hit all my goals in New Jersey, right? Why don't we have a brokerage outside of New Jersey? Because we hit our goals in New Jersey. Right, New Jersey has 10 million people, and it's a pretty big area, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times people think they need to be everywhere, and do all these things. But you guys focusing in on your niches, and we talked. I know your personality really well, and we talked about like, okay, what would he be the best at, right? And we've talked about, all the different, you can always be in all price points, but we were talking about $1 million price points and in commercial real estate, right? And doing those analysis and helping builders and developers.
Yep.
And you've done a really fantastic job with that. Tell us a little bit about like your relationship with some of your clients as builders and how you kind of got into that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. A lot of it came from going back to what I said about realizing that I wanted to do all these things, but then being able to come to the conclusion that I can make money representing these individuals that are doing the things that I thought I wanted to learn how to do and do myself.
Well, you did learn how to do it and you can help them.
Correct. Good point. Yeah, I didn't really look at it that way.
I don't think you would be able to...
The experience helps.
Yeah, the people that have those relationships, a lot of times it's because you're helping in aspects that your average realtor doesn't know.
Right. And I think that was something that was important for me when I understood the concept or the term unique value proposition. What's my UVP to any seller or homeowner when I go into that meeting, right? What am I bringing to the table that's unique? And going to the builders, they have to, in most cases, struggle, especially as new builders, to find financing to build homes. And when we were able to learn about and figure out ways to create an experience and opportunity for them to have special financing behind them, which was the one-time close loan I learned about, I said, I'm gonna get certified in this one-time close. I'm gonna call a lender. I'm gonna ask 1,000 questions about this loan, and then I'm gonna go pitch it to builders. And I'm going to tell them, let me list your land and your pre-construction properties
before you're done.
Before you're done, right? Not even before you even put a shovel in the ground. Right. So I can get the buyer to pay for your construction.
Right.
Now you can sit back, get drawers, and I'm telling the buyers this is a great way for you to buy a new construction home because now you have the insurance policy of the bank's money tracking the progress of the process, right?
And you get to pick some stuff.
And you get to pick some stuff, right?
You can build your dream home.
Exactly. So as that became a successful approach and pitch, we secured our first builder from an expired prospecting call. So the expired prospecting call led us to a meeting with the client whose home had expired. I called him at 8:15 in the morning. I said, hey, I'm confident I can sell your home. Let's meet later today. He was like, I can't, I'm busy, but you can meet my mom. I'm like, I'll be there. So I drive up to meet mom and I pull up to this development. She's like, meet me on this other street around the corner. I'm like, okay. I pull up to this development. It's an entirely built out farm development that's got 20 lots on it. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I didn't think nothing of it. And as we're pitching, Kelly and I, to the mom about selling the house that was already in their inventory that was owned by the son, she's like, I like you guys. And we got some lots to sell.
And their husband and wife too, like in their business. So it kind of.
So they had a whole subdivision.
They had a whole subdivision. Yep. So that one listing turned into 7 listings.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was all new construction. So yes, it came with some creative thought process for marketing. We connected with you. You helped us get the renderings going. Yeah, they do. You helped us figure out ways to put really attractive looking 3D renderings together with your contact on Fiverr. That was a huge help because then we were able to show a more modernized value approach to these builders who had been doing this for 40 years, never used a realtor. They remind us, you know, that, listen, we're not used to using realtors, but you guys are great. So I just said to them too, I'm a sponge, teach me. Teach me everything there is to know about your business so I can help you run it and make you more successful. And now I pretty much manage all of their negotiations when it comes to selecting house plan upgrades, house plans. I help them choose house plans. And it's become a situation
and visualize it.
And visualize it with AI and different things like that. And now Kelly, I always turnkey everything to her and vice versa. So
we treat it like a football field, right? Like he gets the, you know, he'll get the client and then they don't see him again. And they tease about it too. They're like, okay, now what? And I'm like, oh, now you get me. You know what I mean? And then I take it to the finish line because he knows I kind of do all the TC stuff. I take it to the finish line.
You're doing business development.
And then I'll bother him like when something gets crazy, hairy or Gomes, and just kind of like get to the bottom of the nitty gritty thing.
That's awesome.
Or when she's tired of a client, she'll say, Carl, please call them back.
I mean, that makes sense.
And it gets a little stressful. But so
good
now,
cop, bad cop.
But that's the balance. Is like, you know, like when I'm like, oh man, like I'm kind of drained. This one's got me good. Like, can you tap in? Like it's nice to. That's when it's nice to do it with your partner or your spouse, and you're not bothering someone, and you know, it works.
And you never feel like you're pushing on more work to someone because they're a partner. Like you said, this is all for the same household.
Right.
So if she's cooked, she's exhausted. Mommy duty.
It takes a lot to cook me.
It's a team effort.
I've got a good like threshold, but I'm like sometimes I get.
Yeah, of course.
And I'll fight through fire.
No, that's great. And you know, it's funny because a lot of people, they're like, you know, how do you guys do it? Right? They ask us all the time, how do you guys work? And you know, your partners and you have a business, like it's nonstop. Right. And so
you have to really like the person too, right? Like,
well, yeah.
You know?
But how do you balance it? Like, do you ever turn it off? Like, or is there a time like where you're like, all right, stop. Like, let's not.
That's more her lane.
I have to calendar it. Like I wrote out the calendar. Like, because like I said, I like to see the visual for the kids stuff, and I do it week by week. But I have to say, okay, where's going to be the family time? So I can tell him ahead of time, like, we're keeping ourselves off the books. We're going to plan something with the kids that week, or whatever the case may be.
We're not talking listings. We're not talking.
I don't want to hear from it.
Systems.
But then it goes.
Did you follow up with this?
Did you? To talk about, because it's like that really does consume us, but the kids and like, you know, it still goes back to original conversation. So
awesome. So what's your secret to like keeping the spark alive professionally and personally?
That was a question that I've always put some thought into that. I think one of the things that I have to say, it could be called a cliche. I find it very attractive to know my wife is the aggressive negotiator and boss that she is. So for me, there's a constant spark.
You're
that
like,
exists.
Close that deal,
close
baby.
That deal,
close
baby.
That deal.
Close that deal. Or she'll come back and say, babe, I got an extra $1,000 at that closing, man, because, you know, we did these extra things and I got the seller to agree to, you know, whatever. But I think that's something that's very attractive to me, you know, because I'd have to say she's got to be one of the strongest, smartest women I've ever met. And I say that because that's the reason why I pulled her from teaching. I'm like, you're so underutilized as a teacher.
It's kind of thankless sometimes,
we can truly teach others in other ways. We can still be in the field or realm of education, because I came from education. You know, I came from a business where I did therapy services, and for me as a realtor, we're therapists.
Yeah, and you're educators.
And we're educators.
And
But you get paid for it.
We get paid for it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
And the ceiling is endless, you know what I mean? Like, versus, you know, my teacher salary, that it's like I could work really hard and I might get a pat on the back, or I might, you know, I don't know, maybe there'll be some kind of stipend for something I've done, but most of the time, you know, it's not, you know, and this is endless.
And it's hard to, and it's not that, you know, I wish they would pay teachers more, right?
100%.
Because they
work
they
way
deserve
too
more.
hard.
Yeah.
And how can you live on those salaries nowadays?
That's why I was tutoring and babysitting on the side, and I said to myself when he joined, I said, listen, if I sell one house a season, all right, that's an extra, let's call it $40K,
Right.
you know, in my pocket at the end of the year. All right, that works.
That's almost doubling the salary,
Yeah.
right? But then you guys realize the true potential.
Yeah.
That's good. So what are the goals moving forward? Like,
I'd have to say right now our goals would be to continue to grow the business as on the real estate side as realtors, continue to focus on the upward trajectory of price points, and really hone in on just building out a team that is a series of, you know, experienced professionals that are solution based, that can always be there to help us get our transactions and deals to the closing table as quickly as possible. And building out more of a support system as we grow, because one of the things that I've been focusing on right now is building out an entire training platform. I won't call it a platform like what you created for Signature, but I have been using a lot more Zoom and AI. So
for
now,
like team members, you mean?
for our team members,
Yes,
so they know how to do things within our business.
Yeah,
I
like
don't
your
have to repeat
VAs
it.
and everybody.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like George put us up on that. What was that system that was recording things?
There was a system he told us where we're like, if you give instructions about a process,
Right.
it'll
like,
break it
what
down
is
for you.
The SOPs.
Yeah, SOPs.
So
But
basically, what we would like to do is like do little Zoom videos, just so that, you know, like when that expands, because we're at the point that we want to do more, but we don't want to do some of the nitty gritty behind the scenes. Like,
And you don't want to do the same thing 10 times.
right. But what's great about Zoom now is with AI,
oh yeah.
with AI and Zoom, I'm able to get highlight transcripts for all my Zoom meetings with our VA.
100%.
And we actually
That
took the
helps.
time to hand pick a VA that has experience managing VAs. So our goal is to make him a rock star within our business systems, and then have him train other VAs when that time comes.
Yeah.
And still incorporate a hybrid model of incorporating 14/7 admin,
Yeah.
because the hybrid approach was something that George and Mike Gomes helped us kind of realize.
And that was one of our trajectory moments too, was coming in there to sit down with both of them and talk, hear both of them out, and they had very similar advice, but we were at a point where we were like fresh. I think I was like crying in that meeting, because I was just like so overwhelmed with all the little tasks that come, that although we have each other to do them, it still is inundative, you know, like, and between the hybrid model, it's really changed everything.
Been a game changer. So just continue executing the hybrid model. I think it's perfect for us in our business. We're not looking to grow a crazy team of a bunch of agents. I think you do such an amazing job at training realtors that I would, and after, you know, our meeting and talking about it, I don't think that's for me. I don't think that's for us to have a team of realtors underneath us.
Right.
If anything,
can refer.
referral partners. Exactly,
Yeah.
referral agents.
And I like that, because
And I don't think a lot of people think about that a lot. They're like, I want my team.
Right.
I want to build my team.
Right.
And that's fine, but that comes with responsibility and,
right.
you know,
and
they're
value
going
that you have to give them.
a lot
in
of
order-
expectations.
Exactly.
A lot of expectations.
Yeah, when you have extra leads, I always tell people, what split are you going to have your team member on? And they're like, a lot of times they're like, you know, 60, 70, right? Say, okay, so you're getting 30 to 40. Well, you can refer somebody and get a 35% referral fee.
And call it a day.
And then just, you know, ask them for, you know, reports and following up and making sure that they're doing it. And, you know, you're in a good situation, but you're not tied to them.
Right, agreed.
Yeah.
And
So
I
that's
think,
fantastic that you guys, and that could lead to building a team.
It could.
agreed.
And I'd be okay
and
with
that's
that.
one of the things too, John, is
Organically.
when we talk to other people about the signature opportunity, we're like, hey, listen, like, you know, even if we bring you in, like there is hundreds of agents here. Like, you can partner with anybody on your first couple transactions. We recommend it. We don't think you should do your first couple transactions, because I learned so much from Carl, because Carl was doing it full time before I was, and I just think you could make big mistakes and mess up a reputation. So I think it's, you know, it's good.
Yeah,
so.
Especially splitting your first few deals. That's worth the transactional
But everybody
experience.
always tracks the money, and then they want to do it themselves, and then they call for 1,000 calls for help. You know.
Well, we had an agent. He was here, brand new, and he got $1 million opportunity to get a listing. And I said, hey, you know, let me put you with one of our other agents to go on the listing. And he's like, well, how would that work? And I go, well, you're going to split it 50-50, right? Like, half the commission's going to go to you, and that's going to be on your split, and then half the commission's going to go to them. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. And I was like, okay. And they didn't get the listing. So they got zero. Right? Where if you go with an experienced agent and you learn from them, what's the value of that education? And then you're also going through that whole listing process, and that's worth it.
Right, agreed.
Right?
We spent 2 years learning from someone who was doing this, and then, you know, we connected with you during the Corona times, and it's been amazing ever since. That's all I have to say.
I remember going to listing presentations with our team leader before we joined Signature, and when we left that team, it was like the training wheels were off, and I remember having a conversation with her, and it was like, she was like, shoot, what are we gonna do? We don't have anyone to do our listing presentations anymore. I'm like, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out, because one, they're taking too much money from us, and two, that was easy, like the Staples button. You know, I watched it so many times, and I knew it was something I wanted to do. It could be a little less challenging to work with buyers, but when a deal falls apart and you're the listing agent, it feels good to know you still got the asset and you can go back on market. You're not starting all over from scratch, finding another house for that buyer. But, you know, going back to your question about what the future looks like, I think one of the things that has been really integral for us in the growth of our business, along with the hybrid model of our admins, is integrated technologies. I went through the process, like Kelly said, of looking at CRMs and things of that nature. I do endless research on those things, so that way I know our technology is working for us. You don't want to spend hundreds of dollars a month on a system you're not going to use. We're seeing AI take over in our CRM. I had an entire conversation with a buyer visitor at our listing open house this weekend, all the way to the point where they were sending them, like, it was a complete back and forth conversation with an AI bot that blew my mind. It was insane. To the point where they're like
giving advice and everything.
Giving advice and everything. It was insane.
Like, oh yeah, I would have said that. That's cool.
And it said, I hope they don't see this. But it said,
it's being recorded,
yeah, I know,
so they're definitely going to see it.
I know, but it's okay. But it was interesting because it literally engaged in the conversation, and the responses were spot on. It was perfect.
That's awesome.
There was no lapse of time, no mislead.
And it's going to get better and better, right?
And we can manage it, because I was like, all right, so listen, like, they're at the point that they're still communicating, they're in a good space. Yeah. I said, we don't have to turn it off yet. I said, and as soon as, like, it gets to that point, turn it off and I'll tap it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll just mute the AI and kick into overdrive.
So that trajectory is going to definitely continue.
Yeah. And that's a great way to, you know, scale follow-up, which is the number one
things can get
problem
in
the business, because we get a lot of leads and it's a numbers game, but it's hard to follow up with everybody. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, any other advice that you have for other couples who are out there or they're thinking about, you know, working with their spouse? Any advice for that?
I think I take it back to teaching with that kind of advice, would be just be able to compartmentalize and check things at the door, because, you know, if you do everything together, whether it's kids or work and all the relationship stuff too, you can't bring it home. You can't do that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah, you got to leave it.
You have to check it.
Sometimes,
because
it gets a lot.
As best as you can.
It does get a lot sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
But if the phone rings at 7:00, we both understand, like, okay, that could be a listing. Right. So it's okay to walk away for 10 minutes.
He disappeared last night. I thought he was coming upstairs for dinner, and I was like, I went downstairs. I said, "Are you talking to so and so?" And he's like, "Yeah." I said, "All right." So I went and did everything.
I was following up and following through. I was trying to get that listing.
I was like, "All right, good job," you know. But that would be my advice: is just, you know, working with your spouse is just being able to compartmentalize, you know, life and schedules and stuff.
Were you able to understand a little bit more after, you know, kind of quitting your teaching job and being full-time, like how things actually work? Because I feel like sometimes when somebody has a job and their spouse is a realtor, they're like, come on, you can't just turn it off, or you know what I mean?
But John, we were both workaholics when we met. Like,
Okay,
so in
you
our
were.
industries, like, because even teaching's 9 to 3. And
Yeah.
my mom used to think, oh, at 3 o'clock, you're done. I'm like, I got emails to answer, reports to do, grading, lesson
Yeah,
plans.
true.
It never ended. I said, you just didn't see it. She thinks I work harder as a realtor now than I did as a teacher. I said, you just didn't see what I did.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's
And
the
we actually
difference.
kind of went into the business, in my opinion, full time together.
Yeah.
Because I got my
okay.
license in 2018. I joined the Army, COVID happened, and we never really had consistent years
year.
in the business together until probably a couple years ago. And it's just been, like you said, constantly learning and trying to get better. But just to give my 2 cents on your question, I think advice I would give to couples looking to work together in real estate in any form or fashion, flipping, realtors, have a plan and put that plan on paper. That was some of the best advice I ever got from a really good friend of mine, one of my former, well, still a mentor to me. I met him through cycling when I was a competitive athlete. He always told me, Carl, put it on paper, write down your plan. And I never wrote anything down. And when I started writing things down and you know, following that advice, I realized that I had way better success. And along with following that plan or writing down that plan as a couple or spouses looking to go into business together, figure out your strengths and weaknesses, because that's not something Kelly and I did. It organically happened. We got lucky. And I've always been the type of person in past business partnership relationships where I'm okay suffering. So if I see you suffering, I want to take that pain away because I'm just the kind of guy I am. So when my ex-business partner didn't want to do certain things, I took it on. And for her and I, you know, we just organically got lucky where the things that I didn't really like to do, yeah, we complement each other. But figuring that out, you know, why wait
great
to
advice.
figure it out? Do it on ahead of time.
Yeah, do it on a flip chart.
Do it on a
Strengths
flip
and
chart.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
What are you good at? What are you not good
Sometimes
at?
you don't
What
know
do
until
like?
you're in this business. Like,
True. Yeah.
I don't want to
You
call
don't wanna call,
prospect.
yeah.
I don't want
He
someone
loves
to
it.
tell me no. I want to hear yeses. I want to hear, like, you guys are great. Like, that's what I want to hear.
She's like, I'm not chasing them.
And I know people
said,
love
"Let me at
us
'em."
once they meet us and they work with us. Like, we become family with most of our clients, but, like, I don't like the rejection.
Yeah,
Like,
the prospecting
yeah.
is
I'm like, get me the football and I'll take it to the end zone.
right.
Like,
So you do the business development,
Yeah,
and then you
Yeah.
take it home. I love it.
absolutely.
Well, thanks guys for coming on and, you know, sharing some of your life story
thank
and
you
your,
for having
No,
us.
thanks for having us.
you know,
It was
your
awesome.
your strategies and stuff. It's fantastic.
No, we had a great time. Thank you.
Can't wait to see what you guys do in the future.
No,
Me
thank
too.
you.
All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us here on Signature Sip. Check out our other episodes and make sure to subscribe and check out our podcast on Spotify and our YouTube channel.